In our latest interview, we speak to Normunds Stanevics, the CEO of Food Union, the dairy and ice cream specialist business, looking at how it has coped with the pandemic over the past year, examining some of its key challenges, and looking ahead to the rest of 2021. Starting question. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Normunds, from Food Union. Brilliant to speak to you about the dairy sector, and if you could kindly tell us about how the business has coped with the conditions of the pandemic over the past year.
Yes, and thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here, and indeed, we are approaching the first probably full anniversary of pandemic, and we can look back and see how it has gone for everybody, including ourselves in Food Union. And I would say that for us, it has been a very successful year in many respects. One, it brought the fruits of the previous works that we have done, meaning that the digital transformation, setting up platform and infrastructure for our business really came into the force, and we could benefit from that. Because what happened is that when the pandemic kicked in a year ago, we have our sister company in China where we have a lot of experience, and I might have been one of the first companies in the region who said, this will be very serious and we have to move out, we have to protect our factories, our warehouses, because that's where the value of the business lies, and that's where how we can serve our customers best. So everybody from the office, we decided probably it's best to work from home, and we were able to do that within 2 days. Predominantly thanks to the work that was done before in the digital platform. I think moreover, what we could see is that during the times of pandemic, the digital tools and the e-commerce that we started to develop, and we launched that in Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Hong Kong, Denmark. This is all within 1 year where we launched e-commerce platforms. We also saw that our doorstep delivery business in Scandinavia, so Denmark and Norway, this is trucks of over 550 trucks which drive around the country. They drive into the villages and sell ice cream from the back of the truck. And that business surged, of course, because the people were at home, and yes, of course, the pandemic helped us with that. But from the other side, we saw that as a great opportunity to interact with our consumers through mobile apps and through other digital tools of actually understanding, because now they had more time really to indulge themselves with our products at home and to look for that. And I think it was a great opportunity for us to learn a lot more what the consumers want there. And that resulted in significantly higher sales. In fact, the companies in Norway and Denmark for that particular business experienced the best financial performance ever in the history of the company recorded. Because of this lockdown we all had, people want to have this comforting food with the local produce and story flavor. So what happened was that people actually are seeking for the local produce. They really want something familiar in the times of uncertainty, where they say, yes, I know that this ice cream or this premium dairy snack or dessert is produced just next to me, and I know that's where it comes from, and I know where the milk is coming from, and I know that this is the brand that I had when I was a kid. So the childhood memories, and this is something which is very comforting and provides maybe that just extra bit of stability in the times of uncertainty that we all face during this period. So I think it's largely, I would say, it's been clearly a very volatile year. And of course, without a shadow of a doubt, that presented many, many challenges of safety, logistics, broken supply chains, and many other challenges that we had throughout the business. But at the same time, it presented so much opportunity to reach out to our consumers, to speak to them, to offer them these really new, interesting tastes and discuss with them even what would they prefer. So I see that as a very, very interesting year, and probably something where we need to take a lot of lessons away from that, and probably something that we will have to use in our daily life for many years to come.
Great. And clearly from what you said, there's been a number of tests over the past year, and the business is a particularly large one across its territories. But for those who are perhaps not all that familiar with the Food Union Group there, can you explain the full range of what you offer across dairy and bakery applications?
Yes, so Food Union is a pan European company which with a presence in 9 markets and production facilities in 6 countries, where approximately half of our revenues is generated by ice cream. Then the second largest category that we present is dairy, so premium dairy products such as dairy snacks or yogurts or dairy dessert. And then we also have a pastry products and frozen food. Frozen food we brand and distribute, but we don't produce it. We have over 3,000 employees in our group, and yes, I mean, and our revenue is roughly 300 million euros. Although I expect that in the coming weeks we will be also presenting the annual report for 2020.
It sounds as if there's some very promising times for you, because I know that I've reported on recently the fact that your headquarters had a significant investment there. How much of a difference do you think that's going to make to the business?
Yes, I think the development of the business, of what we have been doing for the past 7 years, is very much developing a unified platform of industrial-based research and development and growth on a pan-European level, where the commercial marketing and consumer insight is always very locally based. And we try to base our story around the local flavors, tastes, and brands. And there are 2, in my opinion, very important things. One is the brands, and the brands is something which is, with so many international large brands now present in the world, people are seeking, especially in the indulgent foods, and it may be confectionery, or it could be ice cream, or really other functional, maybe dairy products or dairy dessert. They would like to see the brands that bring back their memories from childhood. So, because I mean, we all know that the grass was greener and the sun was brighter when we were kids, and this is where we see that's the real ice cream, taste of ice cream that we want to indulge. It is also then supported with these local flavors, such as licorice in Scandinavia, or it could be corn flour that we launched also as a symbol of certain longevity and success in Belarus, as we did. We might expand on further our fun and history that we have built, and heritage of brands in Denmark, of astronaut. And this is something which builds around the values of consumers. They want to go out and they want to enjoy the ice cream story. They want to have the snackification of convenience, consumption, and comfort in their everyday life. And this is where we see that the investments and the development that we have done for the previous years is now we will be able to really capitalize that on the markets where we are present, through presenting again numerous fascinating novelties. And I'm really looking forward to that moment. We'll be able to tell you more about 2021 novelties. That truly will be really, really interesting. But more importantly, this is also because we have been a very acquisitive group in the past, and we have been growing through M&A in Europe. And I see that now this is a platform which we will be also able to roll out in other markets for other companies, and really to help them to grow the local brands, and to enable the local markets to go back to the historic and heritage brands and the local flavors that the consumers want to have there.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. And just coming on to ice cream itself, it's an area that we cover quite a bit on. And I noted from previous reporting we've done in the past year, there's been a number of new ranges from the group, and how challenging has it been to deliver those in the present conditions that we're now experiencing?
Food Union, we see ourselves as the innovator of flavors, innovator of market channels, and innovator of access of convenience consumption to the consumer. And in here, when we speak about the local ice cream flavors that we have launched for the recent times, there has been numerous, and clearly over, for example, in 2020, there were over 100 novelties that we launched all over the Europe. And that's a big number, but it was only possible because we have a unified development center here in Riga, where we can do the research and development, we can do the testing, and we invest a lot in our research and development locally, as well as in a group-wide, because understanding the production of the novelties and how the process is evolving it's a rather methodological steps that needs to be there, and it needs to be driven by the numbers and the analytics that we were able to do. However, more so, it also needs to be supported by the local knowledge of consumers, the flavor preferences, and also the how that should be presented to the consumer. And a good example of that is when first I heard that we are launching double chocolate ice cream with a taste of potato chips in Norway. I said, I mean, you're gonna be kidding. I mean, this is not a real launch. We're just doing it internally, right, for a laugh. It's like, no, we're actually doing that full on. It's like listing in the stores and everything. And it turned out to be a great success. The consumers loved it because the combination of the flavor of the sweet and sour and salty chocolate is something which, of course, is also, I mean, I suppose you can say very trendy now in this next occasion, and also confectionery.
Great. And on that note, just looking behind you there, your company motto, it's not about food, it's about people. Does that sort of very much ring true to your mind, that that's your mission to try and engage with people?
That's right, because we try to create the ecosystem, and the ecosystem of looking broadly inside for people that we have in our company, with our consumers, and then wider to the other stakeholders, suppliers, is what forms the value of our company. And that is what drives that in terms of innovation, in terms of our culture internally, where we see that our three values in a company are the commitment, boldness, and fun. And all three of them are very, very important, because when we speak about boldness, I mean, you got to be pretty bold to come out with the flavor of potato chip ice cream. You have to be very committed, as for example, we are in all of the country, with the local communities, to work, for example, with the national park in Tisted, where we are located, our factory in Denmark. And the fun of telling the stories of the brands and engaging with our consumers is something which is adding value to the company, but at the same time, it's adding so much more fun to the whole consumption process of ice cream than just merely buying, let's call it a plain vanilla ice cream.
Sure. And just at this point, if I could ask you, as we're talking about people, your own journey with the business, what drew you to the company in the first place?
Yes, I joined the company 7 years ago, and my first role was as a chief financial officer. So I was leading all of the acquisitions we do throughout the Europe, and the initial idea of really building it was a business concept rather than a company at the beginning, because it was a local Latvian company, and we had this vision that by bringing out the values of local brands and local flavors and really empowering the local management in each of the countries is something which could be great fun. It potentially could be very financially viable, maybe, because nobody has actually tried to do it that way. And thirdly, it sounded a very interesting journey that I decided to join, and so I did. And I was for the first 5 years working as a chief financial officer and leading all of the acquisitions that we did. And for the past 2 years or so, I have been the chief executive officer of establishing the common values, integrating all of the companies and creating the unified organization with the same industrial platform maybe, but at the same time really having all of the power embedded into the local CEOs of each country. Because what I say that the most important people in our company are the CEOs of those countries, because these are the guys who really know the market, who really know the consumer, the flavor, and how we should do. So it's been a great journey, and we have built now a company which is just extremely innovative. It is at the very forefront of offering these novel tastes and solutions in terms of indulgence and global trends, such as a guilt-free, with the core value of consumer and our stakeholders. And there we see that no matter how much money you will spend on your marketing, the flavor is the king. The taste is the king. And that is why we feel very confident with our strategy, with our approach in all of the countries where we are present, because we like to think of ourselves that yes, we are a pan-European group, but we are a very local group, represented in each of the countries with great autonomy operated there.
But it is interesting to note that you've also expanded to China. So how have the Chinese taken on board dairy and ice cream as a market segment?
In China, of course, the dairy it's a huge market, and it's growing market, and there are many large players locally, very strong players, and we are trying to enter the very niche, again, with a very functional and niche products. Either it could be for the children that we do organic, or functional, protein-rich products that we offer there. However, I think another fun story of what we started to do last year is started to very focusedly offer our European products in the markets of Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, being listed in many of the chains that we in retail chains and convenience stores there. And we can see that, again, thanks to the brand story that we were able to bring from the Northern Europe, combined with the flavors and the tastes that we offer from here, is much appreciated. And we can see that it is growing very rapidly. And for the 2021, we think that we will more than double our revenue for what we have achieved for the past year there. So the Southeast Asian markets at large are, of course, more and more maturing markets where they require quality, brands, and story. And this is, again, very much using our experience and knowledge of stable and mature markets here from the Northern Europe that we are able to bring there.
Overall, I mean, I've been writing a lot of stories about how the market is moving towards maybe a lot of dairy alternatives with free from and gluten-free. Has the business been able to respond in terms of your own product development?
It was when we started the dairy-free discussion, of course, is a very important topic also in everyday's agenda in our company. And we started to discuss that, in fact, quite a few years ago. However, when we thought about that, and there were two discussions. So one was the dairy-free all of the vegan products, and the other was the what we call the guilt-free products. So with the lower calories, lower fat content, and for both of them, we decided that we're not just going to go into that blindly saying, we must be there because everybody is there. Because our priority still was being local and being able to serve the local consumers. So to do that, we had a great challenge in ourselves, meeting two things. One is having the brand which resonates to the consumers. And I mean, we're talking about the Northern Europe, which has a lot of dairy heritage, and there's a lot of demand for traditional values in this respect. And from the other side, we're talking about a category which historically has been based around indulgence and, just I mean, you do feel sort of, you have this joy sort of maybe guilt having this, really fat and sugary ice cream or a dairy snack. So we were faced with these two challenges to address, and we decided that the first and foremost, the priority for us is taste. We have to have an excellent taste, because there's lots of products in the market which are, all vegan and low fat and low calorie, but I mean, let's face it, they're not very tasty, are they, many?
Some aren't. No, that's the thing.
So we said, look, I mean, that's the priority that we have, and we worked very long time, and we had many iterations, and as a result, we managed to come up with a couple of extremely successful products that we have now launched in this segment. So in Denmark, we have launched a vegan ice cream called Vegan Ice, and it became extremely popular, not because it is a vegan ice cream, but because it is a very tasty ice cream, and people buy it because of taste. It's chocolate and mint. Sustainability is very important for me personally, and I'm very interested in the subject outside my everyday work in Food Union. And in our discussions with all of the country leaders and function leaders, we said, look, I mean, we know that guys working in Food Union care about sustainability. And we said, look, I mean, we will not have any sort of one global, one size fits all strategy. Everybody will be doing what they do best. So everybody did. And now we see that it is time to come to, we need to tell that more to the outside public, because that's something really to be proud of. And a couple of examples of sustainability achievements that we did is, for example, in the Northern Europe with the doorstep delivery business of trucks, because we introduced the artificial intelligence for the route planning. We achieved, when we saved over 1 million kilometers driven just because of the route planning. And imagine how much we decrease the footprint of CO2 emissions. At the same time, again, by serving larger number of customers than we did before.